Hey everybody, welcome to Podcast Demastered. I'm your host Ethan Meyer, and I'm joined as always by my two very good friends, Wade and Chelsea. And this is our post-holiday episode. Hope you all had a great holiday, whichever one you celebrate. And guys, this is our final episode before 2022. That just sounds weird saying the year 2022 out loud.
Well, episode 30 as well. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, 30 episodes in. And this episode 30, will be capping off the year 2021 with our year in review. So for you listeners, how this is going to work is this is a more personalized look back on the year for each of us. It's not necessarily about the year 2021. It's more about our individual year of 2021. So we're gonna have multiple categories here that range from best film, best game, best music, best book or comic, most anticipated, and then worst of. And that's more, those are categories that are going to be like personal for the three of us. And they don't necessarily they're not going to necessarily be filled with stuff that came out in 2021. It's just stuff that we consumed in 2021. So somebody's best game could be a game that came out last year or 10 years ago. Or, someone's best film could be a film from the 60s. But if it's the thing that they thought was the best thing they did this year, then that's why it's on the list. So if there's trying to clear up any confusion right here off the beginning, this isn't just stuff for 2021. This is just our 2021. So it's going to be a little bit of a beefy episode. So kick back and, get ready. So, because we got several categories here to get through. So let's not waste any time and kind of just dive right in here. Let's start off with, best music. So this could be like best song, an individual song. This could be best album, and it could be, it can range from anything. So Chelsea, let's go ahead and start with you.
Okay. Yeah, so my favorite band is Bastille. I think Bastille has a song for basically every moment of my life. Bastille is life. They actually recently, within the last couple months, came out with some really great singles. And my favorite of their singles is No Bad Days. And what's kind of fun about their music, well, maybe it's not fun for some people, it's the lyrics are pretty depressing and very, interesting and deep, but the music itself is so upbeat. So it's a jam, but also has some darker lyrics going on.
It's like a contradiction.
Mm-hmm. And so for this album, they're really messing with their sound a lot more. I mean, they do it in every album. This one's kind of more like futuristic vibe, almost has a vibe of like virtual reality and almost kind of like the world of Ready Player One is kind of the vibe I think of when I think of their new album coming out. So
they recorded this album while they're all wearing like an Oculus Quest, sitting there.
Pretty much. Yeah, they created their own little like fake like universe thing and their own little thing that like makes your eyes go white or whatever, and it's like called the Innerverse, I think.
Oh boy.
Yep.
Bastille's music exists in the metaverse.
Yep. So
all
that's
right.
my top song.
Wade, what about you? What's your best music for this year?
I think the my favorite song of the year, the one that I listen to probably the most, is probably Hikaru Utada's "One Last Kiss." It's the theme song for the final Evangelion movie that came out in like, I want to say it was like March or something. I think, I don't know. That seems like such a long time ago. But it's such a heavy electronic like pop song that I haven't really heard much from Hikaru like that lately. So it was such a great thing. It was a great way to end the whole like Evangelion series. But like Chelsea was talking about with Bastille, her lyrics are always so like deeper and darker, like very tied to realism in a way, but the music is not. And it really helps wrap up, like, to me, it's like how life should be, like a realistic but melancholic way. And that's one reason why I've always just gotten along with that music so well over the course of my life. But that's probably been like the tip top of my list all year.
Nice. Very cool.
How about you?
So I have a couple honorable mentions that I'll knock out first. The first one is fairly recent, but basically since it's come out earlier this month, I haven't stopped listening to it, and it's kind of dorky, but whatever.
I know that feeling.
It's the soundtrack for Halo Infinite. I've always been a fan of Halo music. It's one of the most recognizable like video game themes for me. You know, anytime I hear the chanting monks, I'm ready to finish the fight. You know what I mean? So, the more recent Halo games, ever since 343 took over, the soundtracks have been very different, and I haven't really like latched onto them as much. But with this one, it's very much back to basics. It feels, or it sounds exactly what Halo should sound like. So it's been like a nostalgia trip for me. So I've just been listening to it constantly. I can hear it like in my head while I'm like driving around. It's been great. So, second honorable mention is another soundtrack, but it's for the movie Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Not the
oh heck yeah,
not the score, but the album with all the various artists. Wait, like I usually don't listen to soundtracks of just like various artists, but this one has some bangers on it.
No, it was so good though.
Yeah, it was really good. They got some hits on there. One of my favorites on there is from Anderson .Paak, who I really like. He did the music for the credits. That song, "Fire in the Sky," that is a great tune. It's got some Rick Ross on there, which I really like. There's some I don't know. There's a lot of diversity in the album too, which is great. But yeah, that is just a banger of an album. And then my favorite was an album that came out earlier in the year, back in the spring, and it's from one of the bands that I really like, Manchester Orchestra. They released the album "The Million Masks of God," and that album is amazing. I've always been a big fan of Manchester Orchestra's albums because they have a flow to them. If you just start from the beginning and just continue listening, there's never a break. It just keeps going. Like one song leads into another, which leads into another, which leads into another. So it's kind of like more operatic, I guess, in that sense. It's never just like, here's a song, it ends, pause, here's another song. It's just like a constant flow. And their albums usually also tell kind of a story. This one's a little bit more of a downer. Basically, the whole premise of the album is loosely based off of one of the guitarists' dad. He died from cancer. So the whole album is kind of like this, fictional character kind of dealing with like grief and like the more emotional and like kind of spiritual like turmoil of losing a loved one. So the album, like, it packs a punch, not only like in the music but just like lyrically as well. But it's so good. I recommend it to anybody to listen to, even if like, I don't know, even if the lyrics sound like they're, it's kind of like Chelsea, like you were saying with Bastille, like some of the lyrics are pretty like kind of a gut punch, but like the music is a little bit more like high tempo, so you don't really notice it if you're not listening for it. But yeah, it's a great album. I loved it. I've listened to it all year, ever since it came out. I constantly listened to it. I'm pretty sure it was on my Spotify Wrapped is like one of the like top albums or whatever, or at least like one of the songs was like a top song. So but yeah, it was fantastic. So I would suggest anybody check that album out. It's good. It's got some good songs in there. Just the album itself is just like one basically long song. It's pretty awesome. Nice. But yeah, that was my. Have you guys ever listened to Manchester Orchestra before? Have you heard of them? Do you know them?
Yeah, it's been a long time though.
Yeah, they've been around for a while.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of like a southern alternative rock. Some people confuse them. They think they're a Christian band. They're definitely not. But like three of the guys in the band grew up with like one of the guys' dads was a pastor. So they kind of grew up in like those sort of households. So a lot of their songs have lyrics that kind of pull from their experience in their childhood. So it can come across that way sometimes, but yeah, they don't like advertise themselves as like a Christian rock band. So either way, like they have amazing albums. So, but yeah, that was mine. You guys want to move on to best book / comic / pamphlet / brochure, like whatever you read this year that was the best. Instruction manual for an IKEA chair, like whatever you read this year that was the best.
Oh, those instructions definitely the best of my year.
Hey, some quality stuff there.
Some of these copywriters out there, they got a way of like keeping you enthralled with those instructions. So
it's true.
Chelsea, let's start with you again. What was your...
Okay. Well, this was really hard for me to think about. I sadly didn't read as much as I wanted to this year. I didn't get to some of my books, so hopefully they'll be on my year in review for next year. I think like the top ones that I've read, or should I say listened, I actually listened to a couple audiobooks this year, and if anybody has heard from our previous episodes, I've been listening to Harry Potter, so we completed the first 3, and I mean, I enjoy those, so that's always great. But unfortunately, I don't think I read anything new per se this year.
I've heard the audiobooks for those are like amazing. I can't remember the guy, the narrator, I guess.
Mm-hmm. It's
like,
Jim Dale.
Jim Dale, right? Yeah, I've heard he does
does an
outstanding job. Like, doesn't he do like all the different voices or tries,
Oh yes, everybody has their distinct voice. He does an amazing job. It definitely makes the books way more enjoyable to listen to, and you can just, right away know which character he's, voicing in that moment, and it definitely makes the time go by quickly.
Yeah, that's impressive, especially for a book like that has several characters and everybody. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Definitely.
I've never listened.
Keep adding more and more characters. Yeah.
I've never listened to the audiobooks for those. But I know several people who have, and they all just comment on like how, great a job that guy does. So maybe when my son's a little older, maybe that's something we can like turn on, at least for the first couple books, and then
it'd be nice.
Yeah, get him engaged, get him hooked, and then make him read.
Get him a little tease.
Like, all right, listening's over. It's time to read, kid.
Yep.
Wade, what about you?
I also have not got to read nearly as much as I try to read. Like, you always think, teachers can, like, it's like in the job. Well, no, not really. I get taken away from reading all the time. Like, I always have a book next to my bed. I just almost never get to touch them. But a series that I have started somewhat recently is called Darker Shade of Magic. It's the beginning of a trilogy, and I'm a little over halfway through the first book. And I'm only that far into the first book, and I went out and bought the next 2.
Nice.
Because I was just like, oh my god, I already need to know what's gonna happen, and I haven't even finished this book yet. But it's an older series. It's not new by any means.
Right.
But I'm just having such a good time with it. So I can't wait to see what's happening in that. Uh, what I do read quite consistently though, is I do get a lot of comic books. Like every week, every Wednesday when comics come out, there's always something that comes out that I need to pick up. And while mostly I'm a big Spider-Man person, I get like all the Spider-Man books, like all the different Spider characters. But frankly, those stories haven't really been terribly strong this year. Like some nice build-ups, and then like the finales of the stories have just kind of fallen on their faces, unfortunately. But what I have read a lot of this year are the X-Men comics, and I have just adored those this year. There's so many different series going on, and they're in the middle of a huge story right now. Like I think the final issue comes out. I think it might actually be next week, and it's gonna be a huge like game changer in the whole story that they've been telling so far, and I'm looking forward to see what happens next year as well with it.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys have the like if you read a book series, do you find yourself reading it like more efficiently or faster than if you just were reading a one-off? Do you guys have that problem, or does it not matter?
It depends on the series, I feel like, for me, because if it's a series I'm committed to reading and I'm enjoying it, I'll definitely read it a lot faster. But if it's a series that just drags on,
yeah,
then I'll
yeah, I guess that's like kind of goes both ways for. I find
You mean if it's just like a singular book compared to a
yeah,
series?
like I find myself.
No, if it's a series, I'll go for it. I don't know why.
Yeah,
I'm just
same.
compelled, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the same way. I find myself if I start a series, I tend to read faster because I want to get to that next book. But if I know the book is just a one-off, like like I've been reading it for like 5 years, so so. But yeah, if I know it's a series or like one continued story, I tend to just like blast through those because I just want to like get to the next one, get to the next one, get to the next one. So I don't know if that was like, that was unique or if other people
Mm-hmm.
were like that.
Yeah, series can be fun.
Yeah, especially yeah. I mean, if it's actually good and engaging, that helps. But
Mm-hmm.
but for me, even if a book's like really good, if it's a one-off, I tend to read it slower. I think like maybe subconsciously I don't want it to end, so I just take my time with it. So I don't know. Yeah. For me, I read a lot of nonfiction this year. I kind of go back and forth on between fiction and nonfiction. I usually will have a like a fiction book I'm reading and a nonfiction book I'm reading, and I kind of do it like simultaneously. But this year I read, I don't know, twice as many nonfiction books that I did fictional. So all the ones on my list are all nonfiction. So I got 2 honorable mentions before I get to my favorite. My first one is Kitchen Confidential by Anthony Bourdain. It was... If you know who Anthony Bourdain is and you're like familiar with his show and you're familiar with his like big personality, just imagine that in book form. It's like sort of a memoir, sort of a book about just like working in a kitchen and kind of like the do's and the don'ts in a way, like especially and it has like his sort of sense of humor and his kind of zest, I guess. It was a very interesting book, very colorful, kind of eye-opening too. If you're into like more like behind the scenes, I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't want to know what goes on behind the scenes, especially the food industry. So this may not be a book for everyone because it's kind of he definitely doesn't sugarcoat anything. But yeah, it was a shorter book and it was a really engaging and quick read. And I was always a fan of Anthony Bourdain, and he's kind of like no nonsense, just tell it how it is kind of New York attitude. So it was right up my alley. My second honorable mention is another memoir by Trevor Noah It's called Born a Crime, and it was basically just his childhood growing up in South Africa during apartheid. And that may be the only book that I've read that like made me cry, because essentially the whole book, it's part memoir, but it's also a love letter to his mother. And there's some parts in that book that are tough to read. It was very emotional, but it was really good. It was a really, I would recommend that to anybody. Like, I don't even watch his show on Comedy Central. I just know of him as a comedian, and he took over the Daily Show for when Jon Stewart stepped down. Like, that's all I know about him. But I heard so many good things about his book, and it seemed very interesting to kind of see like a slice of life in that, during that time, and how he kind of like got out and became this, famous talk show host. That's really the only reason I kind of dove into it. But man, it was really good, really well written. I like books, like any sort of like biography stuff like that, when it's actually written by the person it's about. Especially if they're not like, if they're not like an author, if that's not their like forte. So it's written in a style that's more conversational. You know what I mean? So it just kind of feels like you're just like sitting there listening to this guy like talk to you across the table. Like, I kind of like that very casual sort of writing in memoirs. But yeah, it was a really quick read and it was really good. I would recommend that as well. But my favorite book that I read this year was called Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind by, I'm probably going to screw this guy's name up, Yuval Noah Harari, I guess. It's kind of hard to peg down what this book is. I mean, it's a history of humankind, but not necessarily history in terms of when and where, but more about why and how. And it covers a lot of different topics. It's not just like, it covers sociology, it covers like biology, it covers the economics of it, it covers the philosophical aspects of it. It's very provocative, very objective. This guy definitely doesn't take a side on anything. He just has like a very open mindset coming into it. It's definitely not a book I would recommend for everyone, because some of the stuff that he talks about can be controversial if you are leaning into one side of history or the other. But I actually had the audio book version of this, so I would just listen to it driving around doing errands anytime I would travel. I tend to do audiobooks for nonfiction more than fiction. I find it's easier for me to have like more like comprehension of what's happening, as opposed to audiobooks with fiction. I find I don't comprehend them as well, because especially if it's a fiction in a different like world that has to be established. That's, like nonfiction, like it's our it's our reality, so it's already established. It's easier for me to understand what's happening. So I tend to like listen to more nonfiction than read. But yeah, it was very good. It was probably the only book where anytime I would like not read, but listen to like a chapter or a section, and you immediately want to like talk about it with somebody, just based on like the ideas that he was kind of bringing to the table. Like, it's a book that makes you want to like debate people, not in like a I'm right and you're wrong kind of thing, but more just kind of like, wow, that was an interesting point, like let's talk about it kind of thing. It was one of those kind of books. But yeah, it was really good. Anyone who has an appreciation for history outside of like dates and figures, and more just like how history is more instructive to where we are now as a species, I would recommend checking it out. But like I said, definitely not for everybody. I can see some people being offended or or not agreeing with some of the stuff that he's wanting to talk about. So, but no, I liked it. It was definitely the most interesting thing that I've read this year, and to the point where I kind of want to, I guess, re-listen to it just to hear him talk about all this stuff again. Because it was, in terms of like audiobooks, I don't know how long the book actually is, but for an audiobook, it was like 20 hours or something like that. So imagine just like a 20-hour long lecture about some of the craziest shit you've ever heard about. So,
oh goodness.
But no, it was fantastic. It's probably something I will revisit in the near future for sure. I actually already have his other book that is kind of like the quote unquote sequel to this book. So, but yeah, that was my favorite, Sapiens.
Nice.
What are we moving on to next? Let's do best game. Is that right? Yeah, let's do best game.
Sure.
Yes. Okay.
Wade, let's start with you on this one. Best game.
So my issue was trying to remember all the games that I played this year, because I'm great at starting stuff and I'm awful at finishing things.
Yeah.
So we'll just to get the big one out of the way. I think I put the most hours into this by far this whole year. It'd be Final Fantasy 14. We just finished up Endwalker last week, I guess it was. Such an experience. I'm ready for the next stuff, but that's not for a long time, so I'll move on and play other things in the meantime. I also started and got pretty heavy into Elder Scrolls Online, which you all know about.
Yes.
I had like started at several points before that, and I just couldn't like keep playing it, but it stuck this time. And I've had a great time playing it, although I'm nowhere close to finishing anything in it. There's just too much stuff. There's too much story.
Yeah.
Although I like that challenge, so so we'll get there. Let's see. Also did a lot of Nier Replicant. It came out in like April, I think it was. So always nice to be emotionally devastated once in a while.
I totally forgot that came out this year.
Yeah, man.
That seems like that was like a year ago or so.
It does seem like a long time ago. You're right. And outside of the Pokemon remakes that just came out, my favorite gaming moment this year was I got to share this with students actually. It was the moment that Sora was announced for Smash Brothers. It was right after first hour at school, and I pulled it up on my phone. It was like, oh, the last Smash Direct, I can't miss it. And luckily, my second hour is a whole bunch of nerds like I am, and 4 or 5 kids ran up and stood real close to me, and we watched this little trailer together. And the second it was like, boom, Keyblade, me and those students were like screaming and freaking out, and the rest of my class was just like, okay. And I was like, hold on, we're having a moment. Like, ignore us, just let us be ourselves for a minute. But it was a pretty cool thing to share with some of my kids. So,
yeah. As soon as that moment happened, I immediately thought of you.
Good.
Yeah.
That's the correct answer.
Yeah.
Oh, I had all sorts of people texting me. Oh my God, did you know? I'm like, yes, I knew. Of course, I knew. I'm still freaking out
You
about
knew when
it.
it happened. Yeah.
Of course, I'm live streaming.
I was there when it happened.
Yes.
You know, like another teacher had like a viewing party for it. And I was not invited to that. And I was just like, excuse me. Because a bunch of those second hour kids, they were like, oh, we're gonna go here. Like, we wanted to go here and watch it, but like we couldn't. And I was just like, oh, well, that sucks. Like, a bunch of my band kids went down and watched it with that teacher and didn't watch it with me. And I was just like, you all are something else. Now, they're like competitive kids, though.
Did you know what the reveal was going to be Like, did you have like an inkling? Like,
Oh,
I can't
absolutely
remember.
not. No.
I was gonna say I couldn't remember if that one, if it was leaked or not, or if it was just kind of like waiting for confirmation, or if it was like an actual true surprise.
No, there's every single direct, there's always like three different like pretty strong rumors. So you never really know. Like, you might have a small pool of people that people keep talking about, like, well, this said, and or there's evidence that,
Yeah.
but you never really know for sure. And I didn't think Sora stood any amount of a chance because of Disney.
Right.
So there had been whispers, but I was like, there's no way. Like, Disney's not gonna let that happen. Well, here I am. Happily looking like a fool. So
Excited fool.
an excited fool, you bet.
Have you played it since that reveal?
Smash Brothers?
Okay. Yeah. Have you played as Sora?
Oh yeah. Heck yeah. He's a fun little boy.
He's just another sword character, right?
Oh, shut your mouth. I'll come through this microphone and beat you.
That was the old.
No, that's what all my students were like, oh, he's just another anime sword fighter. I'm like, you all shut your mouths. You don't know anything.
Yeah, there was like the line was drawn on Twitter where it was like everyone was excited and the other half was like, it's just another sword character.
Well, it's those people who've now also...
people.
Yeah. It's those people who have never played Kingdom Hearts. And they're like the competitive people who always just whine about the Fire Emblem characters.
Yep.
It's like, are there too many? Sure, because they're, like, there's a bunch, but they are also pretty similar. But that doesn't, like, nobody's complaining that Link's in it because he's also another quote-unquote anime sword fighter. Like, so, like, it's like, what, you have to stick to an argument, but that argument also has to be valid. Like, if you're just whiny about the Fire Emblem characters, don't take it out on everybody else, too.
Yeah.
Because, like,
it's also just because...
Sora... Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's also because everyone has, like, who they want, and then when that doesn't happen, they immediately just shit all over what it actually was.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's like, oh, it shouldn't have been Sora, it should have been Doom Guy.
That's exactly who I was going to say. I was just like, yeah, because a bunch of my kids were like, I wanted it to be Doom Guy. I'm like, have you ever played Doom?
Yeah.
No. Okay, then why do you want it to be Doom Guy? Well, it would just be really cool. I'm like, okay, Doom but like Guy... he would be really out of place.
Yeah, Doom Guy makes like, more sense in Mortal Kombat, not Smash
Seriously,
Brothers.
Yeah. Because all of his attacks would be so clean and quirky instead of hellish and murderous,
Yeah, instead of gore, like brutish gore. Like, that dude literally is like pulling spines out of people like through their asshole. So he doesn't belong in Smash Brothers. Unless Smash Brothers is going to get way more interesting for me.
So. Who knows? Who knows?
I want Kirby Doom Guy.
Kirby Doom Guy. That would be a good time. I'll give you that.
That might be interesting. Yeah, let's make that happen. All right, Chelsea, what about you?
Oh, man. So, I think I finished about 12 games this year, and honestly, I enjoyed a majority of them. And at least, if I didn't completely love the whole game, I loved at least a certain part of the game or something. I think there's definitely one standout game for me, but one game I want to talk about that I feel like, Ethan, you want to talk about too.
Oh, I know. Okay. I know where this is going.
Yes. Outriders.
I
loved and hated that game at the same time.
Yeah. The whole time playing that game, I couldn't tell if it was a good bad game or a bad good game. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because there's moments where it would shine and then fall flat on its face the next thing. So it was such a weird dichotomy between greatness and like moments where you just want to roll your eyes at it.
Yeah. Well, I think you're the one who initially told me to try it out because you're like, the gameplay is awesome. Those powers are brutal. And I was like, I was like, okay, no, I'll try it. I'm like, okay, that's cool. But the problem I had was, I don't know, I don't know what it was. It was the controls and how it's set up. It sucked. It really sucked to play that game. Everything was off. The aiming was terrible. That is the first game I think I've ever played where I had to completely change all my settings to suit my needs. It was insane.
Yeah.
Because I would be like, okay, I'm totally going to do a headshot right here or whatever. And like the weapons are pointless in this game. At least for me, they were. I was like, this is stupid. I can't shoot anybody in this game.
Yeah.
But eventually, once I like got all the settings, it was better. But definitely the powers are definitely a lot of fun in that game.
The powers are the highlight in the game for sure. Like you played as the fire person, right? The pyromancer or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which is amazing.
Yeah.
So violent. Just blowing them up in balls of fire.
Yeah, like
blood everywhere.
We spent a lot of time playing Destiny, another game that has powers, but they're so, I don't know, kind of just bland. Like they're things, but they're more like, I don't know, like support. They don't really do a whole, like, you can't rely on them solely. You know what I mean? It's kind of just like, oh, I'm reloading, so let me go ahead and use this power real quick to buy me some time. Where Outriders, it's the opposite. It's just like, I'm going to use all my powers, and then when they're on cooldown, I guess I'll use my guns.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Like
the powers actually, like, cause damage. Like, real damage.
Yeah.
And that's totally different from Destiny, where, it's just like, oh, something, in addition to your weapons.
Yeah, it's like a distraction almost. Mm-hmm. Yeah, in Outriders, I played as the trickster, so like his whole gimmick was basically like controlling time. So there would be parts, like one of my powers where I would create a dome that would slow down time, like kind of like the Matrix. So I would wait for all these guys to rush me. 10, 15 guys would get close to me, and then I'd trap them in this dome. And then I would just sit there and use my other power, which would melt their skin, and then their skeleton would explode. And it would just do it to all of them at once. And I was like, this is the best game ever.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, the abilities were really great. I honestly did like parts of the story.
Same.
I think I love the world building. I love the side characters. I thought that was awesome. The problem I have with this game too, though, is the protagonist. Like, who we're playing as, like, they're just nothing. And I wish this game had so much more potential. I really wanted this to be an RPG with, like, actual, like, moral choices and everything. I wanted to take more part in my character. And because there's definitely moments where I'm like, what was the reason you did that?
Yeah.
Why are we doing that?
Yeah. Yeah, I was kind of shocked at how much I actually enjoyed doing the side missions and fleshing out side characters, little vignettes.
Oh, yes.
And talking with your party members. Because usually, like, unless it's a game like, like a Mass Effect where, like, most of your characters are ones that you actually want to get to know. A lot of your RPGs where you just have party members, like, unless they're just, like, great party members, it's just like, yeah, whatever. Like, yeah, you're just a tool, basically. I don't want to talk to you, you know.
Yeah.
And this game had like really great side characters and like really, and they never like overstayed their welcome with like story beats or like you're sitting there in a conversation for 45 minutes and it's just like, what the fuck am I even doing now? Like, everything was very
That's true.
Everything was very quick and to the point. I kind of like that. Some of the side missions, like the one side mission that we talked about.
Oh my gosh.
Which is, there's zero gameplay.
Russian
the Russian roulette side mission is like one of the best things ever. But this game also had weird, like, it was a technical like nightmare. I don't know if it had a rushed development or if it's just a smaller team. But it lacked polish almost everywhere. So many game-breaking bugs, screen tearing, freezes. Some of the editing and the cutscenes seemed abrupt. Like you'd be getting in a cutscene and all of a sudden it would just stop. And it'd be a loading screen. And then like you'd be back in the game and I'm just like, wait, what? That seemed like that was cut like too short. Like it seemed like a mistake. And I actually wanted more of the cutscenes because... like you said, the world building and the story, like at times, were like, wow, this is awesome. Like, I want more of this. And then all of a sudden you'd be like ripped out of it. And I'm just like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
Like,
And moving on. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
so yeah, I don't know. That game is such a weird, because it had such high highs and then just some terrible lows, and it was such a roller coaster of emotions in that regard. Also, we never got to play it. I played on Xbox. You played on your PlayStation, and we never quite did the cross play, all that. Like, we never played with like people. I never played with randos or anything. Like, I played the whole game solo. But it seems like a game, since there's 4 or 5 different character classes.
Yeah, I think it's
something
4,
like that.
I think, yeah.
It seems like a game that would be better playing with other people, because you can kind of tailor your abilities to other players. Like, I could, if we played together, like, I could freeze time, and then you can light them all on fire with your whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it seemed like a game that would have been better with playing with other people. Because also, it's pretty hard. It had that world tier system, and basically anything over like world tier 4 is, if you're playing by yourself, you're just gonna get fucked. Yeah. Like, you're just gonna get destroyed.
Oh my gosh, yes.
The AI is not great, but they all just rush you. Like there'll be 40 guys in an area, and they all just run directly at you. It's just like, oh my god, what is happening?
Yeah, and those areas, there are a freaking ton of them. In certain where they just, you like,
it seems like
20 plus enemies just rushing you.
Yeah, it seems like it wasn't really scaled for solo play.
No.
Because I'm just like, this seems really hard to do this by myself. Like, I had to turn down the world tier just to complete some of the levels. And that was another
too,
that was another thing that also seemed kind of like outdated. Is it was very much like a 360 PS3 game with, like, it wasn't open world. You kind of just are dropped into this little like hub environment that's fairly linear, and
so many loading screens, so many areas to load into.
Yeah, that was another
there for 10 seconds.
That's another weird thing. You'd get up to like a point in the on the map where you're getting ready to enter a new area, and then it would be like this little cinematic of you like moving a log or jumping a cliff, and then you go into a loading screen, and I'm just like, why even have that? Why don't you just put me in the loading screen? Like, why have this weird 2-second?
I can see the area.
Why put this 2-second cinematic of me moving a log and then put me in a loading screen? Yeah, I don't know. I really want an Outriders 2, but for fuck's sake, keep that thing in the oven a little longer and put some polish on that, because you guys got something there. You just need to get some more funding or more time or something. Get some more developers on your team, because there's some promise there.
Exactly.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of those great ideas. That's what, I really just wanted, I appreciated a lot going on that game, but yes, it definitely had very rough moments. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But I think, another game I did enjoy, surprisingly, which I was surprised I enjoyed, was God of War, the 2018 version. Yeah, I won't go into any spoilers because I know you haven't finished it yet,
haven't finished it, even though I was the one that told you should play it.
Yes. And then I totally was like, I'm done. What about you?
Yeah, you finished it in like a week, and I've been playing this since 2018, so... I honestly, I think subconsciously I don't want to finish it. I don't know what it is, but there's like a part of me that's just like, I don't want to see this through. I don't know. I love everything about that game, but there's something that's just like stopping. There's some like force that's like keeping me from like finishing it. I don't know what it is. Well, this time it was my PlayStation
comes
crashing,
out. Yeah.
So
well, yes.
That was the unseeable force. It's my PlayStation crashing. So.
But yeah, that one's definitely good. Canon Bridge of Spirits was enjoyable too, but I'll just cut to, what the ultimate, my favorite game of the year is. Horizon Zero Dawn. I mean, I spent forever playing that game. I actually absolutely love that game.
That was this year?
Yeah, that was this year. That was the beginning of this year.
How long was this year?
Forever.
I thought for sure you played that last year.
I think I did actually start a little bit playing it last year, but I probably only spent an hour or two in that game, and then I moved on to something else. But no, I spent most of the beginning of this year, probably the first 3-4 months just enjoying that game, trying to do all the side quests, just really getting involved in the world, doing the DLC. And I mean, that's another game that I love. Like, it also has really great creative gameplay in that game, and I love the world, I love the history, all the little hidden audio logs and everything. They put so much effort into that rich world and history that it's just amazing.
Yeah, they're definitely trying to cultivate some Horizon lore for sure, because there's a lot of collectibles in that game that kind of flesh out the background to that universe that you don't necessarily get in the plot as much. But that's a game, Outriders, that has polish, because holy shit, that game runs fantastic. Like that was an amazing experience. Also another game that has awesome gameplay. Like, fighting those mechanized creatures is some of the best action out there for sure. You excited for the sequel? Is that your most anticipated? Are we jumping ahead now? Yeah.
No. Tease there, guys. May or may not be on my most anticipated list. Guess you'll have to wait and find out. It's not like I haven't talked about its sequel at all in any other episodes.
That's true. Yeah, Sony's definitely got something cooking with that series, that new IP. That's Wade, have you played a little bit of it, haven't you?
Of God of War?
No, Horizon.
I played like half of it, and then I watched the other half.
Yeah.
I wasn't playing it fast enough, damn it, and I wanted answers.
It is a plot that definitely like holds that carrot out in front of you like a little too long.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Well, I was also doing the side quests and stuff because that's just how I do, and I just couldn't. I couldn't trust myself. It's like, no, I need answers.
Yeah. Because the whole thing is just like one giant mystery, and it's just spoon fed to you ever so slowly. I'm just like, son of a bitch. Like, I just want to know what's happening.
Like the peak of the ending is just I loved it so much.
Yeah, it was. It's very original, very creative. I like that. Like in a time where they could have easily just like shit out some like rehashed sci-fi story, like the fact that they have like the complexity that they built into this is pretty cool.
And it's a game that has a great main character.
Yeah,
other people should learn about the main character.
Yeah, Aloy's pretty awesome.
I mean, honestly, like, instead of making an Uncharted movie, they should have made a Horizon movie.
Ooh,
like, you could just copy everything. So, who cares? It's Sony. They got money. You just, like, copy everything from Horizon.
Do they? Have you seen the Uncharted? They definitely didn't put money in that.
We don't need more movies. Just put it into the games.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I don't need video game movies, especially when they're like already movies themselves. Like, like Uncharted basically is a fucking movie that you're playing. Like, I don't need you to bastardize it and make it into a film. And same with Horizon. Like,
it just wouldn't do it justice.
Yeah, I saw that trailer for Uncharted when I saw Spider-Man, and I was just like, huh.
Barf.
Yeah, I was like, okay, so I won't be spending money on that.
No.
But I also don't like the games either, so. Tom Holland was not going to win me. It's one of those things, it's like, it's not.
I mean,
it's too real.
It's a shooter,
like, I don't.
yeah.
Also that. The gameplay, I was
he doesn't
like,
like anything that.
Die all the time.
You don't like anything that exists that could exist in reality, I guess, right? Isn't that why you said you didn't like it? You don't like
because all of the peaks of the story, like this one is about El Dorado, and no. I'm like, oh, but I know these things already. Like these are they're rehashed things to make a game around. I'm like,
The charm with Uncharted is the journey, not the destination, I would say.
Well, I died during the journey, so.
Hey, I died too. I died so many times.
Yeah, that's gaming, my friend.
Like, I died in, like, not fun ways. I didn't want to hit the continue button. I was like, no. Like, make me.
Make me.
Make me. Like, I don't want
Continue. No, thank you.
No, thank you.
No, I love the Uncharted games. They're very enjoyable, but they they definitely have an audience, and they definitely have a a certain sect of fandom for them. But I'm fine with them also being done. Like, I don't need any more.
Yeah. No, please don't make one.
We don't need to make it into a like a franchise with all these other. Just move on. Just make new stuff.
I don't need old man Nate.
Old man. Yeah. Yeah, I don't need Nathan Drake's kids solving adventures or solving mysteries.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Well, Ethan, what about you? What are some of your top games?
So I definitely didn't play as many games this year as I normally would. A lot of mine are shorter affairs. A lot of them, I had a lot of time with Apple Arcade earlier in the year, so I kind of tried to blast through some of those smaller experiences and some more like indie stuff. So I got a couple honorable mentions here. One of them is What the Golf.
What the golf?
I remember talking about that.
Which is I played it on Apple Arcade. That game is just charming. It's hilarious. It's stupid fun. It's basically a golf game that makes fun of golf. It's filled with references and silly humor, and it's just like
It's so much fun.
It was one of the best small experiences. Very tight gameplay also for like a putt like kind of golf game. It was really simple but also like functional. But yeah, some of the stuff like it's just ridiculous. It was hilarious. Like one of the few games that I actually would laugh at as I'm playing for its absurdity. So another one was Genesis Noir, which was a sort of kind of an old school point and click adventure game. I'm not really going to spend a whole lot of time talking about the plot because it's kind of highbrow. It was sort of like a film noir kind of detective story, but about the creation or potential destruction of the universe. I will say for a game that was only 4 hours long, it goes some places, and the vignettes that you interact with is kind of like witnessing the universe from like the Big Bang all the way up until, I guess you would say, now, and you're kind of viewing it. Your character is sort of a representation of time, and how you interact with the universe and how you choose to kind of change the universe or destroy the universe, or I don't know. It was pretty crazy. But like I said, it was a very, I think, like I said, it was like a 3 or 4 hour long game. Very simple mechanics. Like, it's not really, the gameplay is very just, here's a shining object, click on this to get the next thing. Kind of, none of the puzzles were overly complex. It was more just like a kind of just pushing you through this narrative. I really liked the art style. It was very like monochromatic. Like everything was kind of like silver and black, and then there would be pops of gold or like brass. It also had a very just badass jazz soundtrack. That was the best thing about it. In fact, I was disappointed that the soundtrack wasn't on Spotify, so I can listen to it. It only exists on some like obtuse like streaming service thing that I don't know. I can't remember what it is, but I almost bought the soundtrack just because it was so good. Shout out to the whoever did the music for that game, but yeah, it was awesome. And then my favorite game was Gears 5. I've always liked the Gears of War franchise. When I bought my new Xbox, that was the first thing I played was Gears 5, and then the expansion Hive Busters, and I loved every minute of it. The coalition of developers have really taken this series to new heights and turning it away from being just like some like loud bros yelling and adding more like emotion and human like elements to it. So yeah, if you haven't played Gears 5 and you have an Xbox, I would say it's a must play. It was fantastic. All right, so that was best game. So now let's move on to best show. And Chelsea, why don't you kick us off with that?
Okay. So both the shows that are my top two shows of the year are, a little bit older, but they're still pretty new. I'd say the first one is The Good Place. I had never watched this show before this year,
Good
and I
Place.
watched the whole entire thing. So yes.
Oh my god, did you love it?
Yes. I was
Oh my
very
god,
surprised.
it's so good.
I
For
was a little
sure.
skeptical of, this show, because I was like, I don't know, it could really go either way, but then I was like, oh dang. It's
Yeah, no, after like you get that like the end of the first season, like the twist, and you're just like, and I'm binging 3 more seasons tonight.
Yes. Oh, it was a show. It made me laugh, cry, everything in between. It was, it gets really deep. Like it has really smart writing at times.
Like, oh my god. What did the ending do to you?
It broke me. It
Oh
just,
my God.
it makes me question, like, what are you gonna do with your life?
So I watched it I watched it all last year, but I did watch the whole thing again this summer. And like I had the exact same feelings going through the entire thing. Like now that I even got to watch it all together, because I was watching it season by season as they were released. But then this summer I got to watch it. I watched it all together, and I still felt the same way about it. It was just crazy.
It's definitely worth anybody out there who hasn't watched it, just give it a go. It can be, it's probably not everybody's cup of tea in some ways, but once you get past the first couple episodes, it should hook you in a bit more.
Yeah, because it's overall a comedy, but it has lots of not comedy in it too.
Yeah.
Like connections and
It's a lot of
life and
philosophy
death and
too.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh, so much.
So a ton of philosophy. Yeah.
I always think about like Chidi saying like what do we owe each other? That always makes me go, oh god.
Oh, Chidi.
Janet's my favorite, I think.
Oh my gosh. Not a girl.
Not a girl.
Not a girl.
Ethan's like, I don't know what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Yep.
You
Ethan, go watch Good Place.
like this show.
I think he would. Yeah. It follows
Yeah,
Kristen Bell, who's like a big like nihilist, just I'm in this for myself and everybody else can literally go to hell kind of person.
Yeah,
And then she dies.
I'm aware of the show, and I've heard nothing but good things. It's just, out of all these different like entertainment mediums, TV is the one that I interact with the least,
Oh, I get that. Me too.
and it's gone off the rails since being a father. Like my time to commit to these like long endeavors is become more of a like it has to be very intentional, I guess. Has to be something that I like really want to watch, put forth a lot of effort to do it.
Well, I think both Wade and I agree, though, if you do ever have the time and you're considering it, I think that's the show that you should definitely consider watching. I think you would enjoy it way more than my number one pick, or kind of my tied for number one pick, which is still a very great show. But I don't know. Wait, or Ethan, have you seen Schitt's Creek? Have you ever seen it?
That's another show that I know of, but no, never
Yes.
seen it.
That one was also a very surprisingly
one.
great show.
I am completely on the outskirts of TV, like zeitgeist for sure. I hear all these people talk about all this stuff, and I'm on the outside looking in for sure.
That was a true binge. I think I watched the entire show in 4 days, 4 or 5 days.
Yes, seriously.
Yep, so that happened.
I even like you're just talking about it. I just hear David saying all of his hateful little things in my head, and I just can't now.
Oh, David. Moira. They're all insanely wonderful.
Oh
in
my
that
god.
show. So many quirky-
Both of those shows are on Netflix, Ethan.
Yes.
No, yeah,
Just
yeah,
a click away.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
I've seen the thumbnails.
Good. Go click on the thumbnail.
just a reminder. Yeah.
I have like a Netflix my list that has, I don't know, maybe like 12 shows on it, and they've been sitting there for years, and I've never started any of them. So, and they just keep getting longer. So, so yeah, I don't know. One of these days.
Yeah.
Wade, what about you?
So I'm glad that Chelsea brought up Schitt's Creek and The Good Place, because I didn't really think about them, although I watched them both last year. I have watched them both again this year. So I'll tag those two. But otherwise, a lot of my, like, during the school year, a lot of my TV viewing habits is like turning on like American Dad or Family Guy or something like that, like in the background of doing other things. It's kind of like those are like my go-to like comfort shows, I suppose. So I'll probably go through the entirety of those shows like once or twice a year, just because I just hit play and they just go. But I've greatly enjoyed all of the Marvel shows this year, with WandaVision probably being my favorite. Go figure. But this year I've also finally got to sit down and watch The Crown, which I've been wanting to watch for forever. And I've really liked that. And it's bizarre because I don't really care for nonfiction a lot. But I really liked The Crown. And I really couldn't tell you why. Maybe I have some deep curiosity for like the royal family or British history. I really don't know. I don't really have time to explore and see what's up with those. But maybe the show like scratched an itch I didn't know that I had. I don't know. But that, and after finishing The Crown, I also started watching Downton Abbey. Although that scratches the itch a little less because it's not so much historical as just like a period piece show.
Yeah.
But it's still it's pretty, it's it's just drama. But it's still a pretty good time. So I'm only like beginning of the third season maybe. So it's not finished yet, but I'm enjoying my time with it.
Isn't there a spin-off that they are doing now with Downton Abbey, or like a?
I heard,
but
well, there was a movie that ended the main thing. But they're doing like a new movie.
Is it a movie? Yeah,
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah.
But I'm not really sure because I've only gotten so far and I haven't paid attention to it outside of me starting it. So I don't know.
Well, my like I said, my TV habits are pretty lackluster. I don't really watch a whole lot of TV series. I do watch a lot. I do watch like docuseries a lot, but I don't know. I don't really like fiction-based, narrative-based TV. It's harder for me to like get into unless it's something short, like a lot of these Marvel shows where they're like 6-8 episodes. Like that's more you know, palatable, I guess. Whereas where someone's like, "Oh, you should watch this show," it's like it's got 12 seasons. I'm like, yeah, nah, I can't get into this. I'm sorry. I recognize that time has passed. I'm sorry. I will never watch this. So I do have a couple honorable mentions. One of them is the Marvel show. It's not WandaVision. It's Loki. That was so far out of all the Marvel shows that I've watched, that one has been my favorite. I haven't finished Hawkeye, but I don't think that's gonna take its spot from what I've seen.
Oh, you've only seen like the first episode and a half.
Yeah.
You're a fool. Go watch the rest of that damn series. I'm gonna be so blunt with you, Ethan Meyer. Go finish the series. You're gonna have a moment. You're gonna have an oh shit moment.
It will be on my 2022.
It'll be on your tomorrow.
Something.
Go watch it.
It'll be on my
Talk about that
2022 list.
soon. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I plan on finishing that. I don't know if I'll watch What If. Even though I know
Just
it
watch
has
some of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
You need to watch the Doctor Strange episode.
Yeah,
that's all you need to watch.
Yeah.
That's it.
I know.
I don't know which one that is, but you need to watch that one. That's it.
Yeah, we'll get around to it. At least I have until May. Like a little Marvel breather would be nice. So
Never.
the other honorable mention is actual docuseries, but I think it came out last year or maybe the year before. It's The Last Dance, which is about Michael Jordan and his run with the Chicago Bulls. I'm a big... I like watching sports documentaries. Even for sports I don't even like. I do happen to like basketball, and I happen to like Michael Jordan. But this is more... It's a 10 episodes, and each one's an hour, and each episode kind of breaks down a different aspect of not just Jordan, but like individual players and coaches and the general manager and just like different slices of life throughout their dynasty. And it was very compelling. I would watch an episode every morning, and I just wanted, it was like, I guess if you wanted to like say binge, like I just wanted to finish it. Like it was that good. It's not my number one though. My number one is the other show that I guess you would consider binge, but instead of watching it in the morning, I did it at night. And that was the Midnight Gospel. This is another show that came out maybe a year or two back. It's an animated show, but it's very unique in the sense that it's essentially each episode is a basically audio from this guy's podcast. And then they have the guy that did Adventure Time kind of animate the audio, basically, in very eclectic and very trippy ways, very absurd, nonsensical ways that sort of don't really necessarily make sense to what they're actually talking about. So it can be a little... like watching the visual isn't as important as like listening to what they're talking about, I guess. The visual is more just there to be kind of to keep you, I guess, focused on one thing. Yeah. But the episodes, like the topics and the themes that they were talking about were so just in-depth conversations about some very interesting topics like drug use and existentialism and like death and like the positivity that can be seen in it, spiritualism, meditation, magic, like all kinds of interesting stuff. It's another show that I would not recommend to most people, but just based on not only the animation itself, I'm sure it could probably turn away a lot of people because it's some of it's pretty fucked up. But some of the topics are not going to be for everybody because they're pretty highbrow, pretty left of center, I would say. And some of the stuff they talk about can be controversial depending on what side of the aisle you're on, I guess. But it was thoroughly engaging for me. I love that kind of stuff. Very horizon broadening topics and stuff that isn't, I guess, casually talked about all the time. But yeah, it was also just, it's a very unique concept of a show. So that's another reason why I wanted to check it out. But yeah, Midnight Gospel, it's on Netflix. The guy also you could just listen to his podcast. I think it's like the Duncan Trussell Family Hour or something like that. So like it was his podcast excerpts. But yeah, it's a very interesting show. I don't know. Check it out. Find an episode that seems interesting to you. Well, like I said, not some of them are pretty far out there. So you have to go into it with a pretty open mind, or at least a different state of mind would probably help too. So, but yeah, that was my top show that I watched this year.
Very nice.
All right, let's move on here. All right, so let's move on to the negative part of the show. And that's the worst of.
Oh boy.
This can be for anything. We're not going to do worst of each individual category. It's just the worst of what we consumed this year in terms of media. So it could be, you could have a dozen things, you can have one thing. It's kind of open. So Chelsea, let's start with you. What's some of the worst of 2021 for you?
Oh boy. Oh, the worst for me was the 2020 live action version of Mulan. So
That's fair.
Let me start by saying, okay, I am aware of all the controversy and everything regarding when the movie came out, and I understood, when the movie came out, like, that it wasn't going to be exactly, frame by frame, have songs and everything like the animated version of Mulan. So, I kind of let it, just sit there on my Disney Plus queue for a long time and just like, okay, maybe I'll get to it eventually. And then I finally did a couple months ago, sat down and watched it. I'm like, I'm just going to go in with a completely open mind, as open of a mind I can have on this movie with no expectations. Boy, did it somehow not even exceed any expectations. It was just an atrocity.
Wow.
It was just, the writing was awful, the characterization was awful, the editing, the cinematography was, but like, it was like bad cheesy. Like, it's not even enjoyable. Let's just have unnecessary slow-mo shots for no reason. Let's try to pretend to build characterization, but Mulan in this movie is basically lame and just kind of needs all the men to help her get by, is my hot take on that in a way, because she's just...
Which is kind of the opposite point of Mulan, the story.
Yeah, because she's just a blank slate. She's just like nothing. She's just there. And then they try to make her have these epic moments throughout the movie, and I'm like, how is this epic? What have we seen about her? What is it? What's there? It's just...
Do they recreate the epic moment that I love from the animated version where she shoots the firework into the mountain, causing an avalanche? Is that in the live action?
Oh, they try to do something with that, but it... it's not
I haven't
cool.
seen this film, and I haven't seen any of the live action remakes of the Disney films, and I don't really plan on watching any of them.
Some of them are great, but I was just so disappointed.
They took out it's Mulan, but like they took out the music and they took out the fun. Like,
oh wait, no, the music is in there. Don't forget that, Wade. Let's just have these little tidbits of like, we're gonna tease you with the instrumental versions of these songs.
No,
offensively in there.
Offensively is the right word. There's no fun. So like no Mushu. None of that. It's all like it tells a different story. So like it's if you go in not expecting like the same Mulan that you know, like you'd be okay. Like visually, like there's some really nice, fun like things to look at, but it's not the same.
Oh, it's not this. Let me rant about the villain in this movie.
Please do.
Villain. Oh my gosh. Like
The lady.
And it's stupid because she's supposed to be like the henchman, but then she becomes a villain. So let's have a female, like an Asian female with magical powers, be the evil villain in this story and make it so stupid, old, stereotypical about this. Like,
And she's like, I'm like you, Mulan, or you're like me. You could just come and be with me.
yeah,
No, thank you.
That's so weird. And
How come they don't have Mushu in it if they're not trying to go realistic? I mean, they got sorcerers and shit. Why can't they have the dragon?
Oh, because we have a phoenix. Spoiler, there's like a phoenix following her. It's her family thing or whatever. Or she's the spirit of the phoenix. I'm not really sure what they ended up trying to go for in the end with that.
This this reminds me of that thing I sent you guys the other day with that Spider-Man producer. Like maybe he produced this film too.
Oh my gosh. And then let's shove in a love interest that's not even awesome. Let's just make him awkward and just
Oh, there's a love interest too?
Oh, it's of course it's this poor woman, she can't do much, gotta have the competitive dude that she wants to try to one up on, and then oh no, they fall in love. What is this? This isn't Mulan. Not good Mulan.
Not good Mulan.
Just Mulan in name only.
Yeah.
This is discount Mulan.
Yeah.
It's just not fun, Mulan.
No.
It's
just
fun.
sad. I literally wasted. I felt like I wasted my life watching that movie. I'm like, oh well, that was 2 hours or whatever. I can't get back. That movie was also very long.
It probably felt even longer too with all the seething, rage burning inside you watching this.
Yep.
What else you got for worst of?
I mean, that's where a lot of my
Mulan was
hate
enough.
went. Yeah, that was really the worst thing I watched all year.
All right,
Wade.
Wade, what about you? The guy who perpetually loves everything. What's your
Yeah? Well, the only even just petty thing I can think of is just like just the amount of times I was force-fed Deathloop this year.
The worst of 2021 is Deathloop marketing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's out and I still like it still won't leave me alone. Just go away.
You will never
Just go.
forget
And it was
that game.
it was on sale at like Best Buy or something for like $23. And then the internet blew up again about it and I was like, God damn it, leave me alone.
They're gonna say, and you bought it.
No. Never.
I will say, in preparation for this episode, I did listen to the Deathloop album, the soundtrack for the game, because it has some kind of like kind of jazzy Bond sounding music, and I was like, I kind of like this. I want to check out the album. The album has it's 5 hours long, basically the same music on loop. So yeah, ducked out of that after about 20 minutes. I was like, all right, I get this.
Good.
It had 48 tracks or some shit.
Yeah, I could not care less.
I was like,
could not care less.
So yeah.
Outside of that, it was mostly everything else is just it's been a year and a half since I've heard anything about Final Fantasy 16, and I'm gonna burn something to the ground. It's other silly. It's just little petty things like that.
Your rage is all with PR and advertising.
Yeah. Damn it, I need to know things and people are holding out on me. Other than that, I don't know, I feel like I need another 5-month break from teaching. That would be cool.
Yeah.
I need another long nap.
I get that.
Other than that, yeah, I'm good.
All right.
So you can have the rest of my time for your list, Ethan.
I'm sure you guys are expecting me to have a list that's like a mile long of all my hot takes and things that I hate. I only have two.
Okay.
Two
Okay.
things that came out this year that one was just a disappointment to the point of anger, and then the other one I just don't think needs to ever be brought up or after this episode ever again. I'll start with that one, and that was watching Wonder Woman 1984. That film
Wonder
is-
Woman episode.
Yeah,
We're gonna have a Wonder Woman episode now.
Well, Ethan will not be participating in that one.
That's what he said.
that
Yeah.
that film. I'm not gonna sit here and rant about all the things I hate about it. Because honestly, I watched it at the beginning of the year, and I've tried to spend the rest of this year forgetting about it. Because it's just a fucking bad movie. It's just not good. And it's nothing against the director or Gal Gadot or anything like that. Like, I don't have anything against Patty Jenkins. I don't think she needs to stop working in the industry. Like, I'm not going that far. I think that they tried something to try and be different in the superhero genre, and I think it just fell on its face. I think it was just a poorly executed movie, and it's boring as fuck too. For for as long as it is, it's like 3 hours long, and nothing really happens.
It's
Yeah,
fair.
it was just a train
Yeah.
wreck. And I'm gonna go ahead and say this right now. This isn't really a hot take because I think a lot of people are probably on my side with this. I'm done with the '80s aesthetic as a like thing for films and games and TV and style. Like, the '80s isn't the only decade that exists. Like, we can move away from that. I'm fucking tired of it. I don't want to see any more '80s bullshit, '80s jokes, '80s hair, '80s pants. Like, and it's been done to death. Like, let's move on. Do something else.
The 90s are coming.
Yeah, do the '90s. I mean, fuck. Seriously, get some grunge. I want Wonder Woman in flannel,
mean,
drinking coffee,
Captain-
smoking cigarettes.
Captain
Yes.
Marvel did the 90s.
What'd you say?
Captain Marvel
Don't talk
did
about
the
that movie with
90s.
him.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah,
no,
yeah.
we're in that category, so I might as well bring
No,
it up.
I don't. I mean, I don't like that movie, but I don't hate it like I hate Wonder Woman. I just don't. It's just fine. It's just a fine movie.
Uh-huh.
Like, it's actually competent. It's competent. Like, Wonder Woman's not even competent. Like, that film is just. I'm getting all razzled up right now. I don't.
See, I knew what I was doing there.
Oh wait.
And it's also
Excellent.
because I really like I also like Wonder Woman as a character, and I really like that first film, and I want more Wonder Woman content. That's why I'm excited about that game that's coming out. Like, I just think she's a cool character that deserves more, more time in like the limelight. And that film just sucked. It just didn't do that character justice. So, the other thing, this was more just a huge disappointment for me and my fandom. Battlefield 2042.
Aw, yeah.
I was really excited for this game. I've loved the Battlefield franchise. I've played all of them since the beginning. And this game was a fucking train wreck. This is a disaster. To the point where seemingly that team is being reorganized. They have new leadership. They've lost leadership. They're going through a restructure now. It's bad. Everything about that game is broken. They definitely released it too early. It could have used the Halo treatment where it got delayed a year and actually focused on some of the aspects to actually make the game work, because it still is it's borderline unplayable. It's fucking bad. Like, I had the early access and I played it, and it was just the fucking worst thing ever. And to the point where the game comes out on launch and they have to come out and release hey, we have 3 major updates that are going to try and make this game work. That's a bad sign. Also, a week after launch, they had to change multiplayer modes from their, on next gen they had 120 player counts. They had to change those to 64 player counts because no one's playing the fucking game.
Ooh.
That's
And
rough.
a week after launch, your like concurrent player base is down to like, dozens. Like that game is dead on arrival. So that's a huge blow to me, because that's probably my favorite, like just purely multiplayer franchise to play, and just every aspect of it just doesn't work. They changed too much. They're trying to do too many things. They introduced like characters to try and capitalize on like the hero shooter market, like your Overwatch and shit like that. They did away with the class system, which is a staple in Battlefield. They didn't even have fucking party chat for a multiplayer only game. They got rid of all chat, so you can't talk to your team. They made it hard to even just join and play with your friends. Like just stupid decisions. Like bugs and stuff, they iron that shit out. That's fine, but just like actual aspects of the game are just poor. It's just not Battlefield. It's like they're trying to be something they're not. I don't know what's going on there, but they got new leadership now in Vince Sampella, who runs Respawn. He's the guy that does Apex Legends, and famously he was he was the guy that basically ran Call of Duty. So now he's basically in charge of DICE now to oversee the future of Battlefield because it's just in shambles. So I don't know. I fear for the future of that franchise, and that kind of sucks because that's one of the things that I look forward to in terms of like just a mindless shooter to play. Like I don't give a shit about Call of Duty or any of that stuff. Like Battlefield was always my kind of go-to, and this is now the second time because Battlefield 5 also had a lot of problems, and it took them almost like a year to even get that game to have a player base. So I guess there's hope for this one, but this one is seemingly even worse. So I don't know. Kind of sucks. Mm-hmm. Definitely sucks. Glad I didn't pre-order it. I guess this
Yeah, that's good.
Is what I'll say. So, but yeah, those are my two worst stuff. That's all I got. There's stuff that I was like disappointed by or I didn't entirely like, but it's not like bad enough to be like that's the word. Like it's like utter shit. Like there's plenty of stuff that I watched or played or listened to that I'm just like, it's not really my thing, or I don't think it's that great. But it's not like I'm gonna. It's not worthy of a Twitter rant, so it's not worthy of this list.
I get it.
So yeah, that's the worst of. All right, let's move on to. This is the last one, isn't it? Or wait, no, we got most anticipated. So
Yeah.
But our last one for the year. Yeah.
Last one for the year, best film. Chelsea, we'll start with you on this one.
Oh boy, starting with me. Okay. So I felt like I watched quite a few movies this year. Did you, Ethan, did you actually count all the movies you watched?
Yes, I think oh boy, on the spot now.
Well,
I started using that Letterboxd app, which tracks your like activity and stuff. I want to say I had like 59 films that I watched, and that's films that I've watched for the first time, not like rewatches. Like
nice.
59 films that I've never seen, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I watched a
sorry.
shit ton of Disney with Atlas this year, so it'd probably be like 100 movies if I counted all the times I had to watch, the same movie over and over.
Yeah. So yeah, I watched. Yeah, our numbers are pretty close, but I did watch quite a few movies within the past couple of days. So I think my total, roughly from what I could recall, of like new movies to me was 66.
Nice.
Yeah. And then I had a bunch of like those are just all like feature-length movies. I also watched some shorts and documentaries and stuff like that, and then repeat movies. So I definitely saw a lot of movies this year. A lot of these movies to me were just kind of like okay. They were kind of meh or anything. So I think of my list, two of the movies actually did come out this year, and one of them came out, let's see, last year, I think, on my list. So I'll start with my number three.
Okay.
My number three is actually a holiday movie. It's a Netflix holiday movie called Single All the Way.
I've never heard of it, but it sounds like a Hallmark movie.
Okay, yeah, so it does in a way, and it kind of has that Hallmarky type feel and everything, but what's pretty great about this movie, so this is actually, like, because going into the holiday season, I was kind of like, I actually do kind of want to watch some cheesy romance, like, holiday movie, but I'm kind of, I want something that's, like, an LGBTQ movie. Like, there's not a whole lot of those. Like, last year was...
Oh, is this the one with Kristen Stewart?
No, that's Happiest Season. That's...
Oh, okay.
So
JK,
I'll briefly...
That's too LGBT.
No. There was nothing wrong with Kristen Stewart in that movie. So with Single All the Way, though, so it was two guys that are gay that are best friends, and then it kind of goes into, like... The trailer is really misleading because it kind of plays at the trope about, like, oh, they're gonna lie and pretend they're a couple and stuff, but that's, like, the first 5 minutes of the movie. And that's a problem I have with a lot of the LGBTQ movies in general. It's where, oh, either they're not out to their parents, so we're just gonna have them lie the whole time, which is, like, Happiest Season. And they go into some really heavy, like, hitting things, or, you know, worrying about acceptance, or about... I mean, those are all great topics, but a lot of times when you're wanting, like, a feel-good holiday movie, you want some fun. So this one was great because, like, he was already out, his family was just a normal, like, supportive family, and just, it was actually funny. They actually had pretty good writing. It, you know, it followed that type of romantic type holiday movie, but it was enjoyable, relatable, and a good time. And so that's, I thought,
that's always a plus.
yes. So that was one. And then, so that was my number three. So my number two was Promising Young Woman, which was the
nice.
Oscar-nominated movie, and I mean
that's on my it's on my watch list. I'm on I think it's on HBO still. Hopefully.
Okay, yeah, I definitely watched it earlier in the year before the Oscars, and the writing is so smart. It's spot on. It's also the like set design and everything, like the shots in that movie are really cool, really nice. The colors are very vibrant and everything. The story is great. It's a lot. It's an emotional roller coaster. It's definitely worth a watch. It's definitely not for everyone, and I know that there are definitely people who hate this movie, but it has a lot to say, and it does a good job of saying it.
Sounds like it's perfect. Sounds like it's right up my alley.
Yes. Yes. I think you will enjoy it. Or, you know, enjoy. Best you can. But, okay. My number one movie. I hope you've watched it, Ethan. This is my number one movie of the year. And it is a movie that came out this year. And it just came out.
Oh.
The Matrix Resurrections.
I have not seen it yet.
Oh my gosh.
I've heard nothing but good things about it, though.
It was...
Have you?
It was a joy.
Yeah.
I've heard the opposite.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of people who bash it.
I run with a different crowd.
I mean, I don't run with any
sides.
crowd. I've just seen it all over the place.
Like,
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything negative, but I've seen people who are applauding it, talking about people who are talking negative about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, how meta.
Yeah.
If the Matrix
Well.
teaches us one thing, I guess it's how to be meta.
Yeah. I mean, this was a movie I was definitely nervous about seeing because, you know, it'd been so long since, you know, the first three and everything, but I'm like, I had hopes and, you know, high hopes that it could be good, but no, it was, and I know a lot of people had problems with, like, certain problems with movies, but I did not have problems with anything in this movie. That's what I could say.
The Matrix
just,
as
I
a
can't
franchise has always been divisive because either people don't understand it and that angers them, or they do understand it and that angers them. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. I am not going to say much more about it because, you know, I want you to enjoy it, Ethan, but I enjoyed it. It's very well done. Everything about that movie is well done. And it was after I watched that movie, I was like, wow, that was good.
Yeah.
It was, I was like, okay, that was probably the best movie of the year, and it was, and it is. So
I'm excited for it. I think we're gonna try and watch it sometime this week, maybe on maybe like New Year's or something. We'll try and get to it.
that's good.
But, yeah.
Oh, it's also a movie that, it has like, a good length to it, but it didn't feel that long to me.
Yeah,
it
that's
wasn't a
another
movie
thing
that dragged on.
Yeah, that was another thing. I heard that it was like the fastest like 2-hour movie or whatever. Like the pacing was like perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great
I'm pretty
characters,
excited.
everything. Yeah. Hope you enjoy
I'm pretty
it.
excited about the whole, like the commentary it has, and like it's kind of, yeah, it's meta, but it's also kind of
It's everything.
it's a lot of things. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty ready to like get in there and like dissect it, I guess. And join
We can
in
have a
on the
discussion after,
conversation.
yeah.
'Cause my Twitter is just like blowing up with people like who are just like commenting on how brilliant it is. It
Yeah.
basically makes
I was ready to gush on Twitter too.
So I'm pretty excited. All right, Wade, what about you?
So I just have 2 movies for this year. Mostly because the other ones I can like remember watching. I was just like, oh, that was a movie, that was cool. But I wouldn't put them like on a best list necessarily. The first one is Spider-Man. Maybe because I just saw it and my head's still exploding from it. But yeah, and there's not much else to say there. Just that. Then the other one is the Evangelion movie that came out a long time ago. It seems at this point, just because, it's the end of the franchise basically, and I never thought I'd be happy after watching an Evangelion movie. And that proved me wrong, and I'm happy it did. Otherwise, I mean, I've seen the other Marvel movies that have come out. I watched, the Snyder Cut and Suicide Squad. And I like those just fine.
Yeah.
But nothing else that like spoke out to me, I don't think.
Not Mortal Kombat?
At least not that I can think of. Hey, I had a good time with Mortal Kombat.
I know that movie is so dumb. It's amazing.
Yeah, I was just like, hey, this is a good action movie. I liked it.
I want just like a stand-up special with the guy who plays Kano. Like I just wanted him 2 hours just like ripping
Jesus
basically.
Christ. I was just looking forward to him dying the whole freaking time. Every time he'd show his face on screen, I'm like, somebody murder him. I don't care. Annoy the crap out of me. But that's the point of Kano. So that's why he exists.
He played that part very well.
He's an awful human being. So
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, that's about it on the movie front for me. Oh, well, hold on. I did watch Encanto last night. I forgot about that.
Oh, yeah. How was that?
It was fine. It was cute. It's a really nice story. It comes from the dude who made, like, Hamilton and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And, and maybe because of that, I didn't really care for the music a whole lot. But it might be because I have this Hamilton thing I just can't get over, apparently. Like, the music wasn't bad. It's just like, oh, this is basic, like, I don't know. It's just like pop music, like cultural pop music, kind of.
Yeah.
He
definitely has a shtick, and it's definitely
he does.
It's being oversaturated.
If I didn't know that it was him that wrote it, I would have watched the movie and been like, wait a minute.
Yeah. I've heard this before.
Yeah, so it's just like, I like the story, I love the characters and the setting and everything, but like and this is weird because like you all know me, like I'm a music person, like it's how I pay my bills and live my life. But every time a song started, I was just like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have to ask you about that movie. I
Okay.
don't know if it was RTV or whatever, but some of those songs were just very hard to understand, like the words.
They were. We had subtitles playing the whole time, and I thank God that they were.
Because that first song was so hard to understand. I'm like, oh crap, that basically set up the whole movie and the dynamic of everybody in the family.
Yeah. Well, like
Was it
in
just because
in
It
like
wasn't
because
accents
of
or anything. It was
no. Well, like
I
how
was
he
gonna ask
writes
is
his
because
music, like they just go so fast.
Yeah, I was gonna
Like
ask
some
if it
of
was
the
just, like,
lyrics
the
are
vocals
so
were too
fast.
blended.
And
well, the
also
levels
that,
were bad too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like sometimes there's just like 4 lines of people singing over each other, and it's just like, can you all shut the F up? Like I'm trying to, I'm trying to listen to the actual melody, and you all are like screaming in the background, like, and
Yeah,
it's
and then
you
the
know
music
like the
was so
songs
loud, too.
drive the movie, like there's plot happening, and I don't know what I exit out of a song, and I'm like, ugh, give me some
like, hold on,
context now
process.
because I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. But I like the story of that movie too.
Yeah, the story was really cute, and I was very appreciative of that. A lot of good stuff coming out of that.
I know we haven't talked about it, so I might be putting you guys on the hot seat here. But do you guys have any like best like surprise, like something that you watched that you didn't think would be good, but you're like, oh wow, this is actually really good. Like something you had maybe low expectations for and came out on the other end like pleasantly surprised. I know I'm putting you guys on the spot, but I just kind of thought about that.
Oh man,
I mean, Single All the Way was that for me because I was not expecting that much from a holiday movie. But
Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely some movies I watched this year that turned out to be pretty good. Let's see. Oh goodness. Oh, one movie I did watch earlier this year was Love and Monsters.
Oh yeah, I did hear it. That was that Netflix film, wasn't it? Or was it Hulu?
Neither, I don't think. It was
It was definitely on a streaming service. I mean, I think it was in theaters too, but I'm pretty sure I saw
I
it on
don't remember it being on, but because I watched it on, I rented it from Redbox. It was actually one of the movies that was up for like best like special effects or something. Interestingly enough, for the Oscars, because there were so few movies that came out last year. But
it was a slow year.
yeah, well, because like so it has like the lead is Dylan O'Brien.
Yeah,
Who I think it's like, yeah. And then Jessica Henwick, who is actually in the new Matrix movie. So, but honestly, that movie was pretty great. And the story was fun. And what I could tell, I think it was actually original. Because it had this whole like graphic novel style, like vibe to it. And I was like, was it originally a graphic novel? I don't think it was. And I was like, this could be a whole series. It was just fun, just like a post-apocalyptic thing with monsters and whatnot.
Yeah, I do remember hearing some positive buzz around it, but yeah. I've never seen it. I remember like passing through it, like it's on one of those like streaming services. I don't know if it launched on one when it came out, but I've definitely like come across it on one of them. But yeah, I haven't seen it, but yeah, I'm aware. I know of it.
Yeah, so those are a couple for me.
Yeah.
That stood out. Surprising. Wade.
I can't think of anything. I'm so like I go into like I go into anything with like zero expectations. So that I'm well, you know, it's a skill that's taken me a long time.
It definitely is. Yeah.
But like that's just how I do things. I see something for the first time. I watch something for the first time, and I go in with no expectations, and you know, I always enjoy myself. So
it's a good way to. That's a good way to live life.
Yeah.
I'll never reach that level of enlightenment.
It's a challenge.
I mean, it's not. It's really not that hard. It's just, you know.
My expectations are always based on like being a film buff. It's always based on like whoever's making its prior work, so there's built-in expectations. It's like, all right, I know you can do good stuff because you've done it before, so I'm expecting good things to, you know, and then when it doesn't happen, I'm just like, oh my god, what the fuck did I just watch? And then
I see everything as having its own identity in the world. So,
right, but
you
I'm like
know,
I definitely watch
I
films on a
understand.
more technical level than
yeah, yeah.
a narrative level. Like narrative's
Hmm.
always kind of second to me, I guess. Like that's something I get on the rewatch. Like I kind of dissect films on a more technical level, and it some stuff really bothers me if I know someone can do good work and they don't, kind of thing. All right, so my best film, like I said earlier, I watched like I don't know 50 some odd movies this year. Only I don't know a handful of them actually came out this year. I spent a lot of my time trying to watch a lot of older films that have, uh, you know, kind of slipped through the cracks in terms of my like film history
Hmm.
kind of slate, I guess, of films to watch. So I was trying to do a lot of more catch up work with that. Um, None of those films are on this list. I'm kind
What
of
a
with,
tease, and then
yeah. I'm kind of with Chelsea on this one, where I watched, you know, a lot of movies, and I would say 20% of them were ones that I would say I liked and would rewatch. It was a lot of stuff that's like a lot of films that I'm like I'm glad I watched this, but I would never watch it again. And some of
hmm
them I wouldn't even like recommend for other people to watch, even if they were like cinephiles. It would just be like, I don't know, I don't think it's necessary viewing kind of thing. There were a lot of films that I liked just pure fandom wise, but I can recognize that they're maybe not the best film in terms of like all encompassing technical like uh, like like Godzilla vs Kong. I had a great time watching that movie. It's dumb as shit, but it was I love Godzilla movies, so that was like a really fun time. But it's not the best film I watched this year, Um, so just kind of diving in. I'll do Chelsea style where I have my top three. So number three
okay.
is Jojo Rabbit.
Oh
Um,
yes.
I really like Taika Waititi as a director. I like his sense of humor. That's part of the reason why when he did Thor Ragnarok, that's still like one of my favorite Marvel films, just for his directing style and his just kind of the way he
Hmm.
made Thor an actual enjoyable character. And he kind of does the same thing with everything he touches. Jojo Rabbit kind of hits every emotion in that film. There's parts in the film that are very emotional, very sad and brutal, and then there's parts in
Oh
that
yeah.
film that make you want to laugh out loud. It's the pacing is perfect. It's quick and snappy. Doesn't linger unnecessarily. It's got great writing, great directing. It's just a very well polished film. Uh, I like the setting for it too. The like the kind of satire look at World War II. Like that's just kind of it takes something so just gruesome and grotesque and makes it a little bit more silly and tangible, I guess, which is kind of like an odd feat to accomplish, but he does it gracefully. So
Hmm.
it's a good movie. I really liked it. Um,
That is a good one.
it was really well cast too. Like I really love Sam Rockwell as the German officer. He was just a
Oh my
complete
gosh.
dope. It was it's good. It's a really good movie. If you haven't seen it, I would highly recommend it. Um, my second film is definitely more art house. Um, At Eternity's Gate, which is a film about Vincent Van Gogh. It's not necessarily, I wouldn't say it's a biopic. It's more of a slice of life where it just kind of focuses on like a 2 year stint in his life. Um, the story and the the characterization isn't what's interesting about the film. It's how the film is shot. The way it's done is so kind of impressionistic and very that's a good word, kind of it almost seems like it's like free form, like they kind of didn't really have a plan with it. Like it's not like it's not like found footage kind of style or shaky cam or anything like that. But like, all right, here, the cinematographer and the director, they did like an interview, and they were talking about how they wanted to capture the film visually, kind of like uh, comparable to like painting, where you're kind of just free form painting, and they do the visuals in a way where, you know, not one to one where the camera's just bobbing up and down like a paintbrush, you know, nothing like that. But it's more it's kind of hard to put into words. It's almost something you just have to kind of witness. But as someone who really like, part of the reason why I like film is for the cinematography. This film was doing stuff that I just haven't seen before, and it just kind of like, it's just like a case study for like a different way to shoot. It was really interesting. It's also, I mean, it also, like, Willem Dafoe is one of my favorite actors, and he does an amazing job playing Vincent Van Gogh. It's also got Oscar Isaac in it, who's also a really good actor. So it's got, you know, it's a good film in terms of just like, if you're looking for a story on Van Gogh, like if you like Van Gogh, like it's a good movie for that. But I liked it for the more like the visualization of it was very cool, very unique. And then my favorite film that I watched this year was Dune. It was unlike Wade, I do have expectations that vary. And that director, Denis Villeneuve, I have high expectations for anything he makes, because he is one of my favorite directors. I've seen everything he's ever done, and it's all brilliant. And I also have being someone who's read Dune and knows the fiction and knows that universe and knows how hard it would be to adapt. I'm glad he's the one that did it, because he did it in a way that didn't try and spoon feed a lazy and an audience that doesn't have the attention span to kind of that what it would take to understand that world, I guess. Like he didn't like blockbusterify it. He didn't take a very heady topic and dumb it down for people. He did it in a way that I would say would be like a perfect adaptation. And it makes me really excited to continue into that universe. Also, in terms of music, what Hans Zimmer did with that soundtrack is just epic. I think Hans Zimmer is just on another level when it comes to crafting scores for films, where he definitely can cultivate a feeling, and he isn't one note. You know, he is very conceptual, I guess. And yeah, I'm kind of disappointed I never got to see the film in IMAX, because it's definitely a film that you would want to watch in IMAX. It's one of those. I did watch it in theater, and I'm glad I did, but I wish I could have seen it on like the biggest possible screen ever. Like,
right.
But yeah, as soon as I finished it, I immediately wanted to watch it again and again and again. Like I loved it. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. The cinematography, the music. Yeah, that's an Ethan film for for anyone out there keeping track. If you watch a movie and you want, that's what I like. Those are my movies. That's the kind of stuff I want to watch. So yeah, that was I had really high expectations for it, so I'm glad that it was met, because I like that
That's
fiction,
amazing.
and I wanted to see it on the screen, because reading those books, it's just like, man, this is crazy shit. Like I want to visualize this world, you know, outside of David Lynch's. You know, there's some stuff in there that's good, but that movie is unwatchable. So if you haven't seen it, it's not good. But this one is fantastic. So I also recognize that it's not for everyone. Um, and that's another reason why I kind of like it, is it wasn't made for everyone. Like, the director came out and said, I made this film for one person, me. So, and that's kind of how I want my directors to act. I don't want them to cut corners and make decisions to try and accommodate to the lowest common denominator to fill seats. Like, film is an art, and make your art that's personal for you. And if people like it, that's great. And if people don't understand it or don't like it, whatever, that's for them. So I like directors that are more understanding of that, I guess, instead of just trying to bastardize their shit to get more people to watch it. Yeah. Best film, Dune. Please make more.
Dig it. They got 2 more, right? 2 more coming.
One confirmed. He wants to do Dune Messiah. But we'll see. He also just announced that he's doing another book adaptation. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's the same guy who wrote 2001: A Space Odyssey. It's like something to Rama, Expedition to Rama, or something like that. It's another sci-fi. He likes sci-fi. That's his thing.
That'll be interesting.
But yeah, they also said it's going to be like 3 years or something before we get this next one, 2 or 3 years. It's like October,
something like that. It'll be a while.
or it's like October 2023 or 2024 or some shit. I don't know. It's greenlit. That's all I know. That's all that matters, I guess. So I'll be looking forward to that. All right. So in terms of looking forward to things, let's move on to our most anticipated for 2022. And this is most anticipated anything: games, films, books, comics, shows, whatever. So, Wade, why don't you kick us off? What are some of the things in 2022 that you're looking forward to the most?
Okay. So the biggest thing, which I don't think will be an issue at this point, but I'm going to start with it, is I need somebody to talk about Final Fantasy 16 before I lose my mind. I just need to know that it's still out there somewhere. Which I know it is,
Please
but come on.
Yeah, can we get a state of play
when
or something?
When they announced it, he was like, it'll only be 3 or 4 months before we talk about it again, and it's been a year and a half since that point was supposed to happen. So I'm just like, please, Yoshi P, stop it. Endwalker's out. Just tell me about 16 now, for the love of God. Anyway, next, Elden Ring.
Yeah.
And so my hype's not through the roof on this because, I'm venturing into a new genre kind of. Just every time I see something about it, I'm just like, ooh, oh, that looks cool. I'm just like, okay. It just piques my curiosity a little bit more every time. Yeah. And that'll come at a good time of the school year for me, where I'm gonna need something like that to focus on. Right. So, I'm looking forward to that. Not too long from now, less than a month, on January 19th, a new Utada album comes out. Yes. with a live show accompanying it. And I'm super excited about that. It's called Bad Mode, and I don't know what that means yet, but I'm super excited to find out.
We'll find out together, Wade.
Because, what the hell is that? But I'm even considering, doing a lesson in my history of rock and roll class over her. Leading into, this performance to, watch this with my kids. I think they'd be chill with that. We'll see. I don't know yet. Maybe it'll be disaster, and we will not do that.
Don't think like that. Well, no, it'll be great.
Well, it's hard to say. Some kids don't mind having quote unquote weirder music, and some do. It's Mexico, Missouri, so
Enough said.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. The next chapter of the X-Men story will be starting here soon. Like, it started this huge new era with, like, the, oh god, what's it called? The Dawn of X, and then we're about to leave the Reign of X, and then we're going to start the Destiny of X, with the end of this current story that's in, like, a week. So it'll be pretty bonkers, I think. And then also Doctor Strange.
Yeah, I figured that'd be on there.
Seeing that trailer at the end of Spider-Man, like, I'm dead. Just wake me up in May.
I'm glad that they posted the trailer. I mean, I figured they would, but I'm glad that they did it as soon as they did, because I don't plan on seeing that film probably until it's on Disney Plus. But I did want to see this, teaser that everyone was talking about, and it was real. I liked it. It was really good. That was a good Marvel teaser. A lot of them were hit or miss.
I'm looking forward to it.
But I'm sure there's other things, but those are the big immediate things that I could think of.
Chelsea, what about you?
Well, let's see. My first one is an album. I talked about Bastille, how they released some singles in the last couple months. So their album comes out in February, so I'm very excited for that.
Awesome.
Can't wait for that to happen. My other most anticipated things are pretty much games. Like, I'm kind of looking forward to some movies, but I'm not super, super invested in a lot of the movies coming out. I'll kind of just wait to see, kind of feel them out before checking them out. But there's some games that I'm like, yes, I like almost want them to be like day one release. I want to just play it. So, I think we've already talked about it. Horizon Forbidden West. Yeah. That's one of my games on that list.
I saw some.
There's also.
Sorry, not to cut you off, but I saw some of the screenshots that they were posting, because I think Guerrilla knows that we know that people don't want to play this on a PS4, so I think they're trying to be like, oh no, hey, it still looks good, and so they've been throwing around screenshots of the game running on a PS4, and yeah, it does look pretty awesome. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what I'm going to be playing on. I don't have a PS5, and I'm not magically going to get one, and so I'll let everybody know how it is, but I'm sure it'll be great. Yeah. I'm not super, super picky on it being like, oh, it looks different than the PS5. How dare they?
I wasn't worried about visual fidelity as much, but I do know in like generational leaps that it's harder for the last gen to just keep up with all the kind of under the hood stuff, if that makes sense. Like the games,
like something kind of gets left behind.
They either cut stuff out because the system just can't handle it, or there's not enough memory or whatever, and it just starts to chug, or like frame rate dips and stuff. Like that's more what I'm worried about, because that game looks like there's a lot of shit on the screen going on. And I know my base PS4 can't handle anything right now, so I would be afraid to put Horizon Forbidden West in there and watch the PS4 melt. So, but yeah, graphics and stuff like that stuff doesn't bother me as much. I want the game to just run and run smoothly, and that's the stuff that bothers me about like a generational leap.
Well, fingers crossed my PS4 doesn't melt. I need it to hang in there for at least next year. I have too many games to play.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I have two other games. One of them is one that we saw at the Game Awards, Chia.
Oh, yeah.
That game. I'm super looking forward to that. I don't think it has a exact release date yet, but it said sometime in the spring. So hopefully spring, summer, whenever.
Yeah, cool.
I'm looking forward to that one. And then there's a game that's coming out in January that has really piqued my interest. It just seems really unique. It's called Weird West.
Oh yeah,
It's kind of.
I saw this. Yeah.
Yeah, it just looks wild. It's that Western vibe with some type of supernatural elements. You can play as 4 different types of characters, and they all have unique abilities. And the world and the environment and stuff seems really interactive, which is really cool. That you can do a lot of possible things with it, and different attacks, different things, and just looks like a wild time.
Looks like a weird West.
Yes, exactly. So I think that looks fun. Those are my top.
So, yeah, I I have a couple films on here, and then a few games. There's a lot of games coming out next year, but a lot of them haven't, or basically just known by like title, that nothing's really been shown. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of hard to get super hyped for something if you don't even really know what it is outside of just a cinematic. Like, I start to get excited for games when I see people playing, like, what the game actually is, as opposed to just like some cool. Because I've been burned so many times getting hyped for a game because it has an amazing cinematic, and then the game's actually like shit to play. You know what I mean? So I definitely wait closer to when they actually start revealing people actually playing it before I get super hyped for a lot of that stuff. With that said, I'll do my games first. Elden Ring for sure is on there. I love FromSoft games. I am eager to see how they handle an open world, because their games haven't necessarily been linear, because they're kind of labyrinthian, I guess I would say, but they still kind of push you in general directions. So I'm curious to see how they maintain that in an open setting. It's like a completely different game design. So I'm kind of curious to see how they handle that, because they're very like they're known for their like curated experiences. So, and doing like open world is kind of hard to like curate experiences for the players, because it's all kind of free form in a sense, I guess. So I'm excited for that. Stalker 2 for the Xbox. I'm excited for that because it kind of just looks like it's a first person shooter, but it kind of looks like what I want Fallout to be, but it has never been. Because Fallout's like, I like the idea of Fallout, but it's just never been fun to play. And I never got to play the first Stalker because it was a PC. It's a PC only game, and I'm not a PC gamer, not anymore. I haven't been in like, I don't know, over a decade probably. But I just seeing I think they had gameplay for it at like E3, and it just like oozes atmosphere and like that post-apocalyptic kind of look that I like, and yeah, I'm pretty excited for that. They also came out and said that they're canceling their NFT plans, so that's always good. I think they like announced one day that they were going to start selling NFTs that corresponded to like a likeness of like characters in the game, and then within 24 hours they came out and said that they're no longer doing it based on community backlash. So
yeah,
hilarious.
So that's good. So this other game, it kind of, we haven't seen anything for it. It's more of just a concept at this point, really. But it comes from a studio that is very well known, and it's a new IP, and it's exclusive to Xbox. Do you guys know? Do you guys know what I'm talking about? It's Starfield.
Starfield.
It's the only game that I haven't.
Oh, I forgot about Starfield.
It's the only game that I haven't seen anything about, but they keep like releasing concept art and talking about all these, how ambitious it is, and this and that and the other. And Bethesda's definitely a studio that does that for a lot of their releases, and they almost never deliver right off the bat. Their games are pretty notorious for bugs and all kinds of just like crazy shit. Fallout 76 is kind of infamous for not meeting expectations. It's fine now. It's one of those ongoing, live service kind of games that eventually gets fixed years later. But with Starfield, I like to think that they're gonna put a little bit more maybe polish and time and care into it, since it is supposed to be this big new IP for Xbox, and you get that Microsoft money in there. So I'd like to think that these expectations will be met. So I'm very eager to see what this game actually is. I think I'm more excited for it conceptually. You know what I mean? Like, because I just don't know what it is. I just want to see what this game like what you actually do, because you know what I mean.
Yes, I understand.
So
I'm curious about it.
so yeah, it's definitely up there. It kind of does it for games. Like I said, there's a lot of games that are like on the, like if I had a PS5, God of War Ragnarok would for sure be on that list. But since I won't have a PS5 for years, it's hard to get excited for a game I know I won't be able to play. So it's more my 2022 most disappointing list, because I just won't be able to mess with it, I guess. In terms of films, The Batman from Matt Reeves. I'm really excited to see that. I actually really like Robert Pattinson as an actor. I think he's definitely left the Twilight, behind him, thankfully, and has like
Far behind.
yeah, and has carved out a pretty awesome career and a pretty diverse catalog of films. And almost everything I've seen him in since, I'm just like, man, you are brilliant. Like, this is awesome. So I'm excited to see his take on The Dark Knight, and they're really putting a lot into this. You know, there's talks of like a trilogy. They're doing all these spin-off shows on HBO now. Like they're trying to build a universe out of this. So there's a lot riding on this film being good. So eager to see how that goes. I like Matt Reeves as a director too, so I have high hopes for it. Another film, The Northman, from Robert Eggers. I've been following this guy's career since his debut with The Witch, and then his follow-up, The Lighthouse. I've actually listened to a lot of interviews with him. He comes from production design. He's not classically trained as a director or any of that stuff. He is like art department guy and used to do like stage plays and theater, and then kind of just sort of fell into directing because he had a story that he wanted to do, and that was The Witch. And yeah, I really like his stuff, so I'm really excited to see The Northman. And they finally put out a trailer for it, and it looked good. It's like Viking Braveheart, basically. So I'm excited for that. Another director I've been following, Ari Aster. He's got his film coming out next year, starring Joaquin Phoenix. It's Disappointment Boulevard. This is another director that I've been following his career closely because he did two of my favorite horror films in probably the last decade, in Hereditary and Midsummer. So I'm excited to see. There's not a lot known about Disappointment Boulevard. There hasn't been any, besides some like behind the scenes stuff and like a brief, like kind of not even a synopsis really. It's like one line. So not really a whole lot known about the film, but Aster and his cinematographer, who's Polish, and I'm not going to even attempt to pronounce his name. They do brilliant work, so I'm just excited for anything that they do. And then my next one, I'm sure you guys are probably gonna, make fun of me for, but it's the sequel, Avatar 2. I'm really excited to finally see what the fuck this is, because I feel like they've been filming it for like 15 years now. So
it's finally coming out.
It's coming out. It's got a date. It's like December.
Basically,
December something. Oh boy. I'm more excited on this from a technical level. I like the first one for the same reason. I know it's not going to win any awards for writing or originality in that front. I don't really care. I don't really need it to be. On just a pure filmic standpoint, like what they achieved in that first one was brilliant, and I'm expecting great things this second time around, especially with all this filming underwater and underwater motion capture. Just sounds just batshit crazy to me. So I'm really excited to see what this film just looks like. Just hearing stories about actresses like Sigourney Weaver and I'm forgetting her name now, the actress from Titanic, having to film scenes underwater and hold their breath for over 5 minutes. Like, that shit sounds crazy to me. So I'm just eager to finally see what this film looks like. Love them or hate them, but Cameron always pushes the industry forward on just a pure technical level. So I just want to see what he's been cooking, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's...
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably go see it, but I'm not too hyped. It's been so long since the first one.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not hyped for...
I'm just like, what?
I'm not hyped for the fiction, or, you know what I mean? It's more just like... It's more just how he makes these films that excites me. Like, when the first Avatar came out, it started a revolution in 3D. And every studio and everybody had to have a 3D movie. And everybody's converting films that weren't even shot in 3D to 3D. Like, he started a movement just on how great his 3D was for that film. So it just kind of changed the industry. I want to see what he does this time.
Did he, like, create a new camera for this one?
I don't know, because that... For the first Avatar, that didn't come out until... Like, that wasn't made public until after. So, and there's still a lot of hush-hush.
Well, he's been talking about it for like forever, I think. Like, one of the reasons why it took so long is because he was developing some new camera or something like that.
Yeah, I know him and I can't remember the guy's name, but they built a camera for the first Avatar so he could film in his hangar, but the camera would actually show what the world was going to look like. It was like a previs camera. And they also developed that 3D camera that had a lens that would shoot like lateral, and then one, or like horizontal, and one that would shoot vertical, and it like that's the kind of stuff that like I kind of geek out on, is more like how these movies are made and not necessarily going and watching it for the cat people doing their shit. Like that stuff doesn't excite me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't necessarily care about where the story's going. It's been so long that I can't even really remember all their names. But I just want to see what Cameron's been doing with how he's making this. And that's... I've seen some behind the scenes stuff where they literally filled up like an Olympic swimming pool with those like motion sensor dots, like millions of motion sensor dots, just so they can film it to make it like water. Like, shit like that's crazy to me. Like, I just want to see what this movie looks like. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted to blow my mind, like when the first one came out, and it was like, holy shit, this movie looks gorgeous. Like, the 3D is amazing. Like, I want that same kind of like revelation, I guess. So that's why I'm excited for it. The fact that he's making like 5 of them, like whatever, you know what I mean? Like, it's
no, thank you.
Whatever, you know, whatever nonsense he's doing with this fiction, that's cool. It's got its fans. I don't hate it, but it's also not something that I'm gonna like go to Comic-Con dressed up like a fucking whatever they are. So, or learn the language. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care. I just want to see.
I get that.
Yeah, I just want to see the film for like.
No, thank you.
I just want to see it. You know, just want to see it.
Just watch the trailer.
Yeah,
that'll make you happy.
Yeah, exactly. Like, when's this trailer coming out? I know it's got a December release, so you're probably talking. You know, we probably won't see anything until like
months from now. Yeah,
for sure. But still, eagerly awaiting just to catch a glimpse of what the hell this thing looks like. But yeah, that's it. That's my most anticipated.
Very nice.
And with that, that's gonna do it for our 2021 retrospective, I guess, our look back at what we've done over the year and what we liked, and I guess some of the stuff we didn't like. But yeah, I hope you guys stuck through it. I know it's a little bit of a beefier episode, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys had a good holiday. Hope you guys have a good new year. We will catch you on the other side. You'll hear from us again in 2022. So
long from now. So long.
That's true. Cheers.
So yeah. So for everyone out there who's stuck with us for this these first 30 episodes, we are eternally grateful, and we hope that you continue on this journey all of next year. So with that,
yes, thank you.
I bid you adieu.